they haven't become an established part of our general elections. We didn't have debates in 2015 because David Cameron, who perhaps underperformed in 2010, decided that he didn't like them. The Prime Minister in 2017, Theresa May, she chose not to debate. Now, there were a couple of debates in 2019 between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn, but they were not like the 2010 debates. They were not major features of the election campaign, broadcast simultaneously on all the major channels. They had smaller audiences, and frankly, I can't remember a thing about them. And it looks like we're reverting to the standard British normal, I'm afraid, for this election campaign, where, guess what, we've got argy-bargy between the party leaders. We've got broadcasters trying to elbow each other out of the way. Labour thought they had an agreement on 2 debates, the first one on July the 4th, but now in the campaign, which is the worst possible time to agree these things, Rishi Sunak has now made an issue with his challenge of having 6 debates. It's the usual irrelevant, pathetic chaos in British election time. And the only time we got round it was 2010.
Move on to another incredibly important feature of the election campaign. Remember this?
We'll be hearing from 3 men, each hoping to be the leader of the next UK government in the first election debate.
Will you continue to fund the police?
Yes, of course. But Gordon, let me give you an example.
Will you match our funding on the police? The answer is no from your manifesto.
Let me give you a very good example.
This is not question
time. Let Mr Cameron answer your point, Mr Brown.
It's answer time, David.
I'm just slightly surprised that there's any discussion between you two going on about what money you can put into public services, because I read your manifestos this week. In neither of them are you coming clean with people about how anything costs.
Because you can't airbrush your policies, even although you can airbrush your posters.
Because he's given this country the biggest budget deficit of any developed country in the world.
Thank you, Mr Brown. Mr Clegg.
I'm not sure if you're like me, but the more they attack each other, the more they sound exactly the same.
The memories. Yes, that was the very first TV debate in 2010, after which Nick Clegg was declared the winner and the most popular political leader since Winston Churchill. My goodness, life comes at you fast, according to a Sunday Times poll. And of course, that was the I agree with Nick moment. Now, of course, TV debates have become a mainstay in our discourse and our expectations when it comes to a general election. And Keir Starmer has agreed to take part in debates with Rishi Sunak, but now there'll be a lot of horse trading and haggling and negotiating over exactly how many debates will happen, who will host them, who will sign up to do this. Now, Rishi Sunak wants to do 6. Labour is saying that Keir Starmer only wants to do 2. But let's dig into this now with our very own brilliant Adam Boulton, legendary TV political journalist. He's been a TV debate moderator himself. And also, Adam, you're somebody who you care a lot about these TV debates. You do a lot of thinking about them, don't you?
Yes, I do. I've always thought they are the best way in our television age, which may be coming to an end quite soon, of informing the majority of the electorate. And I've always felt, and we argued successfully in 2010 at Sky News, that there should be properly structured, impartial debates staged as a public service with very clear rules to encourage interaction between the participants and not to have a baying question times type audience. But the truth is, I've got to take slight issue with you, Aisha. They haven't become an established part of our general elections. We didn't have debates in 2015 because David Cameron, who perhaps underperformed in 2010, decided that he didn't like them. The Prime Minister in 2017, Theresa May, she chose not to debate. Now, there were a couple of debates in 2019 between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn, but they were not like the 2010 debates. They were not major features of the election campaign, broadcast simultaneously on all the major channels. They had smaller audiences, and frankly, I can't remember a thing about them. And it looks like we're reverting to the standard British normal, I'm afraid, for this election campaign, where, guess what, we've got argy-bargy between the party leaders. We've got broadcasters trying to elbow each other out of the way. Labour thought they had an agreement on 2 debates, the first one on July the 4th, but now in the campaign, which is the worst possible time to agree these things. Rishi Sunak has now made an issue with his challenge of having 6 debates. It's the usual irrelevant, pathetic chaos in British election time. And the only time we got round it was 2010.
And that's probably because it was the first time it happened. And when I worked in politics, one of my jobs was looking after the TV debates, prepping Ed Miliband for the TV debates, but also being part of the sort of negotiating team. And you're right, what is really difficult is when you're in the heat of the short campaign, everybody is just thinking about the short-term political advantage, who's up, who's down. If you're up, you don't want to do too many of these TV debates because you feel you could lose your advantage. If you're sort of on the back foot, you've got nothing, you feel you've got nothing to lose. I mean, in America, they have a sort of commission. Is there any chance we could sort of get the political parties to agree to sign up to a set of rules which are outside the heat of the short campaign, and everybody sticks to them? But then I suppose people could just sort of break their promise.
Well, honestly, we thought in 2010 that we had established a paradigm that would continue, but it turned out we were wrong. And that was partly because the mass audience broadcasters, BBC and ITV, didn't really like independent debates which they broadcast. They like to stylize their own things with their own presenters, or in David Dimblby's case, the question time format. So there was never the support amongst the broadcasters to work together. And of course, that's been exploited by the parties ever since, who've played divide and rule with the broadcasters, and then not really wanting to have debates. They've, come up with these challenges and fights with each other over formats and all the rest of it, which is what we in 2010 sorted out well in advance. And, the point about this is I don't really care who wins and loses in the debates between the party leaders. What I care about is what we showed in 2010, and what's been not been shown since, is that the electorate was more engaged and better informed in the political process than ever had been. And it's not me saying that, that's the independent researchers who studied them.
Yeah. Well, listen, Adam, I am 100% behind you. I think they're incredibly important. I think they're a really important function of our democracy. They're really important for people to get the chance to see the people, the men and women who want to be Prime Minister and lead this country, answer these questions and do a proper debate. That was Adam Boulton, seasoned political journalist and, of course, presenter here at Times Radio. You can catch his brilliant show, which he does with Kate McCann, every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock.